What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Monday night. Welcome to formerly Nerds in Suits Live, currently the Monday Matters show, and I am here to hang out with you guys. It's been a little while. Last week was our first one back, and I'm very, very, very excited to be back doing the thing and talking to you guys and hanging out. I've been thinking a lot about the important topic of the day that we're going to discuss, which is T Swift or Adele. We'll get into that as we go further into the show. I want to have that conversation. I also 100% want to talk a little bit about what's going on with my tour. I have some updates. I mentioned last night something about the shows at the end of the month. And of course, I have some updates on that and some things to talk about. I did announce last night that the shows would be taking, I was cancellation and all that different stuff, but we're going to get into that very, very soon here. So stick with me, hang out, and we will talk all of that through. Looks like we are already getting a donation here from my man Tyler, asking if I've heard the new song from Dashboard. I think you'd like it, but I prefer what you've done lyrically up to this point. Well, that's pretty cool. I haven't heard the new Dashboard song, but as you guys know, I'm a big Dashboard fan. Don't tempt me to play Hands Down or, that sounds like you guys are probably hearing my my audio. Let's get rid of that. Don't tempt me to break out the guitar and get Remember to Breathe up here live or some shit like that. It's as you all know, favorites of mine. But maybe I'll check it out. I can't say I'd want to check it out on air tonight because I feel like I don't want to get the copyright flag. But I'll check it out soon, and I'll let you know on next show. A lot of good people in the chat here as we get started here tonight. I see Kaylee, Kelly, Tyler, Andrea, Daynap Man. I see Haskell. I see Cole, Allison. I see Maddie Gunner. And then, of course, I can't see any further past that on the chat. So thank you guys all for being here. This Monday show and this channel and everything in my life creatively has taken on an exciting new flair. I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about that. You'll probably get a crane shot, if we're being honest. In fact, I'm actually feeling like it's probably a good thing to do now. My lighting's going to get all weird. We're just going to, every 10 minutes or so, just do the alternate. Raise slowly with the mic. Slowly but surely. It's important. So I am going to talk to you guys about all of that different stuff. And as I mentioned, there's a real sense of optimism I have right now as far as just kind of what I'm doing and what I think is going to happen next and how I'm going to do it, all of that different stuff. Oh, wow, now it's a little too high. Let's just get that here because we want to make sure we have really good lighting to, focus on this pimple on my forehead. Great. I'm glad this is working for all of us. It's crane shot. Sounds like a great drinking game. What's up, Sebastian? Phoenix? Good stuff. Excited to see you guys all here. So I'm going to be talking about that and some kind of ideas that I have, ways that I want to push this channel forward, and just kind of in general, a lot of the content that I've been doing and ways that I want to improve it, and also engage with you guys more. I'm getting pretty close to being back to healthy. Right now, I'm making an effort to sit for, I'm sitting for longer than I'm supposed to. I'm not really supposed to sit for more than a total of an hour in a day, which is, in my opinion, at this point in my career, at this juncture, kind of impossible, but I do my best. I hope that I am a little louder for you guys now. It looked like I was coming in a bit quiet, but tell me if I'm still coming in quiet and I can turn myself up. So, I am doing my best, and unfortunately, like kind of organizing my thoughts for work and things like that are some of the things that I have been putting my energy into. One of the things that I would like to get back to doing is responding to you guys. There's a stack of Patreon messages from us going back and forth from almost 3 weeks ago now that I haven't been able to really get into doing all my check-ins and responding to everybody. And once again, as I said each week, I am 100% getting back to doing that. And you guys are going to get a side of me that I think you haven't seen in a while. I'm full of energy right now. I feel really excited, and I think I'm going to be able to bring some really positive stuff, from my own life to you guys. And I just, that's the direction it feels like it's going. So hopefully that is exciting to you guys if you're patrons, because I love having you here, obviously supporting, being a part of the whole thing. And so we just got ourselves just another Swayze dancing on the screen. If you were watching the Rittenhouse trial, you might have seen them use Swayze this morning. Oh my goodness. Talk about reading the room. But we just got ourselves a donation from Allison. Let me just pull up Streamlabs here because it's not currently loaded up. Right. Make sure I can get that so I can read it. But yeah, I think those are the conversations I want to have with you guys tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about just, motivation. We're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk a little bit about positivity, talk about content on this channel, what we're doing here, what this channel is, and what I think it's going to be going forward. I've got a lot of big thoughts and big ideas for 2022, and I'm really excited to share them with you guys. This is the crew. I have two crews that I specifically, consistently on a week-to-week basis get to talk to, and that is you guys. That's the action crew. As I read Allison's lead here, it says, "Congratulations on 10,000 streams on Happiness, Ben. Can't wait for the new video to drop. Go watch The Rocketeer and keep being awesome." It's kind of astonishing that I actually forgot to put the 10,000 streams on the thumbnail and didn't put this in the title of the video. I'm actually not entirely sure how I managed to do that, but I guess I had a lot of things on my mind today and decided that that was not the thing I was going to do. Well, I didn't do it. So here we are. We can celebrate it, though. It is exciting news. Happiness got to 10.03 thousand views this morning. 10.3 thousand. And yeah, crazy. It's crazy that it's moving the way direction that it's moving. Full disclosure, I paid for some playlisting services when I put the song out. And what that means is it's not like buying views on YouTube. It's like you hire specific curated playlists that have their playlists, and some of them are in different countries. And you do that because it shows your stuff to a new audience. Hopefully some of those people become followers, save the song. And it's not grossly expensive. It's kind of part of the music marketing budget that I assumed I was going to use when we started this Patreon to produce this album. It goes into some of the songs. I didn't do it for the first two songs. I'd been told about it, and I wanted to try it out. So what's really interesting is to see the song climbing and growing, and the vast majority of the plays lately have come from Canada and Australia, which is kind of crazy, actually. I still don't know really what to make of it, but I've gotten almost 3,000 plays in the last week from 3 different cities in Australia, which it doesn't feel scammy because that doesn't, first of all, feel like the type of place that scams would be coming from. And also the fact that it's 3 different cities makes me feel like it's not. So I think there's just a lot of people that found out about the song through a certain playlist, and now they're listening to it. And that's pretty wild. I got to tell you guys, pretty crazy. So very exciting though to hit that number. The producer I work with, Rich Emery, who is a great guy and somebody who I really enjoy working with, and I'm gonna keep working with him. We have some really cool stuff in the tank that you guys actually are gonna hear about. Those of you that are in the next studio diary, which won't be this weekend because I'm still struggling a little bit. I'm not supposed to really play guitar for longer than a few minutes. I'll bet you I do the next studio diary next weekend. That feels about right. I think it'll be Thanksgiving weekend. My mom's going to come out here for Thanksgiving. I'm going to sit back down, and then she's going to leave around the weekend. And I think, thank you for the crikey and throw the shrimp on the Barbie jokes. Guys, those are always good, always fun, always funny. And so I think you guys will get the next studio diary next weekend, in which I'll have some pretty fucking awesome stuff to show you guys. There is some very cool stuff coming. The next group of songs, excellent group, really, really good group of songs. Some of you have heard Still Be Mine, which is a song that I really like playing and I think is really good. And I haven't gotten to play it in a few weeks, but that will be one of the next ones I'm producing. I have this song with Rich that we're starting to work on that I'll be excited to show you guys that. It's a great riff. It's really cool. And then it's got this, he threw some dance stuff on it. And then I'm actually getting back to work. This weekend, we're going to be doing a Zoom session. David Frank and I are working on a song on Friday as our session scheduled. So he's a little busy these days with obviously fatherhood and all the stuff he's doing out there. But I've got 3 songs coming up. And Friday will be the first session I'm back at it, even if it's just, low level for a few hours, maybe standing even if I can't sit with a guitar yet. But all of it is very exciting, and there's a lot of music stuff I'm going to talk to you guys about today. This channel, we're going to go deeper and deeper, I think, into the music stuff. I know that's what this channel has become. We rebranded just before my health got really bad, so I didn't really get a chance to give this channel what I hoped to and wanted to do, much in the same way that an entertainment channel has movie reviews and trailer reactions and live streams about that sort of thing. I want this channel to have more and more of that sort of stuff. I think obviously covers are really important, but there's new music coming out. There's ways to address that new music. I think there's stuff like the topic du jour tonight that I think we're going to talk about. The topic of the day tonight. Yes, I realize that I just said that phrase. And I just think that like I have an interest in that stuff, and I think a lot of people like that sort of thing. And I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. So we'll get into more. We'll get into all of the different content that I want to be doing on this channel soon. But before we do that, I want to give a couple quick shout outs. One of the big shout outs is to my man, call sign Jerry from the Action Army, who signed back up to become a patron of what we're doing here on the formerly Nerds in Suits, currently the Ben Bateman channel. And I'm really happy to have him back. We missed Jerry. He always gives me a hard time about Schmodown, and he's been an incredibly wonderful and generous supporter of so many things that I've done. We also had Bucks jump back in, call sign Cash over in the Action Army. So both of you guys jumping back in. I'm excited to have you here and to be with you and to have you in the sessions. And then most importantly, as I'm putting out more content and I'm doing more stuff, to be able to engage with you on that stuff. I think you guys have been really, really instrumental, along with a lot of other wonderful others, in keeping my career and my career with Andrew and the Action guys going. So excited to have you guys both back here. Schmodown fans abound, as many of us here are. A lot of you guys are part of our Tuesday study sessions. Now, we do those every single Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So tomorrow night at 5 p.m., we're getting in there. It's a really fun time. There's a great group of question writers who write interesting trivia questions to test out. We got trivia questions. We do, sometimes they're just kind of hangouts, but there's a good, solid group of folks in there. Once a month, I do a session where I go head to head. I do 5 rounds in a title match against one of you guys. It's always really fun. I played against Bear Trap, against Tyler here, who's in the chat, in the most recent one, which is super, super awesome. But I always have a great time doing that, and it's a really fun way to kick things around and take some of the pressure off of the, my life depends on a win in the movie trivia Schmodown type of vibe, and just playing trivia for fun, even if it is the same format. And I think everybody enjoys that. So anybody who hasn't done that, that's the $15 tier, patreon.com/Ben Bateman. It's called the Platinum tier. And if you sign up for that, we'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. The other thing I did mention, Studio Diary, is something that I do once a month, probably at this point is realistically how often it is. And I just get it in. I show you guys blurbs and bits and pieces of what's being worked on. And it's really fun. I show you guys literally like I am working on this riff, or I wrote these lyrics, or I've got this vibe. So actually, I'll tell you guys this. This is a nice lead into our main topic here. Well, you know what? Actually, this is something I wanted before we get into the main topic, because I was already on the subject, and I think this is the acknowledgement that I want to give. Look, it's a small group that watches this show every week, and the committed people who hang out and are part of this Monday crew. There's a positive energy. I love to engage with you guys. I've gotten to know a lot of you personally, and I plan to expand this channel and get to know a lot more of you more personally than I already have. And a lot of you are the folks that have been the most supportive of my music, and that's really incredible and makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside to have people in my corner like that. My producer Rich was saying to me, he produced Happiness along with David, because I was saying to him, I was like, I've been doing this promoting my music, and it's like, I don't know what point are people going to get tired of it. This wasn't where my audience came from. And so like maybe they're patient with the first song, but if they don't like the later ones as much, and now the tour I was like, I hope all this time off is not, slowing me down, because I feel like I was in a really good rhythm for writing music. And now that I'm slowing down, am I still going to be able to write all this? I was just expressing all this stuff. And he was just like, dude, just keep doing what you're doing and it'll keep growing. He said, you released your first song 7 months ago and you didn't go viral on TikTok. And between your first 3 songs, just on Spotify, you've got going on 35,000 plays in your first 3 releases. And that's not including Apple and YouTube and Amazon and the lyric videos and the music videos. If we include all that stuff, we're in the 70 to 100,000 range as far as plays and streams and all that on the content that I've been putting out there. And that's crazy. That is an amazing, incredible accomplishment. A year ago, I hadn't put a piece of music out. I literally did not have a piece of music out. Fight the Moon was the last released piece of music in the world of mine, and I was 21 years old. And so now at 33, I feel like when I announced this when I was 32, I guess I announced this when I was 31. That's the truth. I announced this when I was 31. The pandemic had started, and I turned 32, and then I put out the first song here in April, and now here we are 7 months later, and that's where we're at. Like Sorry for Tonight on Spotify will hit 20,000 streams pretty soon, and Happiness, if it keeps going, maybe it'll get to 15, maybe more. Who knows? it's an amazing thing that I have to remember to put everything in perspective. It's one of the great lessons I'm recently learning is the concept of being grateful. Because I know I feel this way, and I'm sure a lot of you all feel this way. It's very easy to get wrapped up in what you don't have. It's a lot harder to sit down and actively be grateful every day for what you do have. It's a very hard thing to do, especially when times get tough. I mean, don't think that sitting here was my back is tired and sore, and that I'm constantly worried about re-herniating, that I don't feel like my best years physically are behind me, and that there are these times I doubt myself at my age already in terms of being in like an entertainment career and how far I've actually gotten versus how far I'd like to get. That's real. I mean, that's just the truth. And so I do think those things, but I also have to be so grateful for the things that I've been able to achieve, for the things I do have, for my family, for my relatively good health, for the people in my life that have humbled me with their support even further, with the GoFundMe that I put up at the time of my injury, which I need to go in and start sending personal messages to people and thanking them all, because I'd like to thank every single person who donated anything. It was just an incredibly generous, just a life preserver. It's what I really truly needed. Without it, I mean, I'd be in a tough spot. And what I feel like is I'm going to recover from this surgery. I'm going to come out of it with all this positive momentum and energy, because I had even gone into this surgery. I'd gone into the surgery already with quite a bit of energy and feeling like actually there was a good path here. Like I could see the next steps and they were great, but my health was falling apart and it was hard for me to keep up with that. And so, having you guys in my corner and the amount of support that I am able to receive from people who care about me, it's staggering, and it's really humbling, and it really makes me feel like, it reminds me every morning right now that I love where I live. I love my place. I love my career. I love the toy job and the people I work with at the toy job. I'm very fortunate to have that environment in my life. I love the Schmodown. I've gotten to answer movie trivia questions and perform in front of hundreds and thousands of people live in events. I've gotten to do all those things because I've worked hard, and because I am in the grace of something greater than myself, who has decided that I was someone that was going to get some of this, get to experience some of this, at least for this part of my life. And I'm not a religious person at all. I've talked a lot about the fact that energy is what I believe in. I do believe in energy. I believe when you put the right energy out there, you get it back. And it hasn't always been perfect for me to this point, but I've certainly tried to put out the best energy I can. And through that, I've met a lot of you. A lot of the names in this chat I've gotten to spend some personal time with. I've become friends with a lot of you. I appreciate your support. I'm proud to call you my friends, and I'm humbled that even we're at this point, you would still support me. You'd still support me financially. It's a unique relationship, and I think it's one that not a lot of creators online probably get to have with the people that have supported their career and their dreams. So that was an impromptu rant on my soapbox, but I believe so wholeheartedly that this next year of my life, 2022, is going to be the best one I've ever had. I really believe it. I wanted to make 2021 the best year I'd ever had. What's up, Quiz Show? And in a lot of ways, 2021 was one of the best years I've ever had. It was an incredible year. I released my first piece of music that was just mine ever in my life. The response brought me to tears. It was unique, something I never thought I was going to get to do like that. I thought I was going to get to go on tour. I didn't get to. I've made some pretty wonderful changes in my life in the last year that I think have been for the better and that have put me in a really good place. And so I expect that those changes and that momentum and that energy I'm talking about will continue to bring me forward into the next thing. I spoke to my therapist earlier today, and I talked about the ideas that I had. And I was like, well, if I do this and I do this and I keep doing this, maybe I can achieve more and I can be more successful. And he said, well, I don't know about that, but I know that we've talked about so many times that your goal is to achieve extreme happiness, right? You can get wrapped up in it. Like I said, I do it every day. Just because I'm grateful every day doesn't mean I don't get wrapped up in the things I don't have and wanting to achieve more than I do. Being ambitious is in my nature. Many of you, I'm sure, are ambitious as well. And he said, I don't know by doing all the things you're talking about that you will achieve greater success, but I know you will achieve greater happiness. And rather than extreme success, extreme happiness. I know that. I can guarantee if you keep doing all those things you're talking about. And that's a great message. It's a powerful message to remember. it's really easy to get wrapped up in toxic, dramatic, critical thinking, all these things but why? Spend your time on things that enrich you and make you happier. And I hope in some way, every single person in this chat right now, I've been able to interact with on a personal level, over Zoom, in person, via a stream, a comment, or even just something I said on air that connected with you that I'll never know about, and in a positive way. And I hope I get to continue to do that. I hope that I am privileged enough to have the people in my life that I'm able to affect in a positive way, because I love doing it. So there's a girl that works at the coffee shop near my house. I always go in there. And recently, when I was on my prescription meds, I was going in there, and I started calling her the wrong name. She's been making my coffee like a year. But I started calling her the wrong name, and I didn't realize I was doing it. And I did it for 2 weeks. I even had a friend come to visit me and brought him in and introduced her to him, because I was like, I'm a nice guy. I like introducing people. It's like a personable way. And introduced her with the wrong name, and she just played along because she was such a sweetheart about it. So I felt so bad afterwards, because I went in one day and she was making my coffee, and I started to say her wrong name, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I've been calling you this name for the last 2 weeks, haven't I? And she turned bright red and she said yes. And it was like, I feel so bad. I even, in the course of that conversation, in the next 10 minutes, called her the wrong name again. I felt so bad, and I was like, there has to be something on this street that you do that you like. What is there? A restaurant? Is there a manicurist? Is there a store? Something? Let me just get you something. I feel so bad that you've been so nice to me. And she was like, no, it's totally fine. And life goes on. It was like, it's not. If we're being honest, it's not like I had committed the ultimate sin or something. She let it go, and we're very friendly. And the other night I went in there, and it was like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I was getting my afternoon espresso, and she said, I was like, how you doing? Big plans for the weekend. It was on Saturday. And she was like, oh no, did that all last night. And I was like, Kelly says, this happened to me before too. This guy called me the wrong name for a year. I mean, I'm sure it happens. And so she was like, no, I spent all my time last night doing that. I was like, well, what happened? She's like, I lost my wallet and my phone. I was like, oh no, that sounds terrible. She's like, yeah. When I'm off, I have to go try to find him. And I was like, are you okay? Do you need anything? She's like, no, someone brought me a sandwich for lunch. And I was like, oh my God, this poor girl. She couldn't be older than 22. And she lived somewhere that was a solid 45 to an hour away. I'm assuming probably with her parents, because it's so far away from where she works. It would make sense to me. But even so, I was thinking, like, I've lost my phone and my wallet. I've done that when I've been out drinking before. It's a terrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling. You feel totally lost. You're trying to borrow people's phones to make phone calls. You have no money to buy anything. You have nothing for an emergency. It's a scary thing to have to go to work like that. It's happened to me before. And so I was like, all right, well, best of luck. And so I was about to go out. I had to go make some proxies for Magic, copying fake cards, because we have a stream we started on Sunday. And I was driving to do it. And I was like, you know what? I can do this in the morning. And I need to get some dinner. I'm going to go to this fancy grocery store. There's these stores in LA called Air One. They're like real fancy. And there's a Whole Foods that is near where I live, and pavilions and all this thing. So I could have gone any of these places, but I was like, if I go and buy her some food, and she doesn't like the food. I've also been in that situation. That's a weird thing, because then somebody gives you something to you and you don't want to eat it because, like, dietetically maybe. So I was like, I'll get her a gift card to somewhere. And I was like, let's get her a gift card to this fancy grocery store, because that's really nice. She'll be excited to go. It'll take some pressure off her. She can get dinner on the way home. So I did. I went and grabbed it. I promise you guys, there's a point to the story. So I got her this gift card, enough to get dinner. And I came back to the store, and I was like, hey, just, now we're even, right? Or I said something like that, but I felt bad for the name thing. So I give it to her, and I go inside. And then I started thinking to myself, well, why did I do that, right? I started thinking to myself, like, why did I just do that? Why did I get a gift for this stranger who didn't need it? She already had food that day. She's going to go home probably. I don't know if she lives with her parents. I'm just assuming, but she's a grown-up. You have to survive as a grown-up. She'll be fine. She'll be taken care of. I was like, why did I do that? Did I want free coffee? You know, did I think this girl was cute? The answer, I mean, not really. Like, she's no statement on that, but more like it wasn't driven by that. I wasn't trying to get a date with her. That's more important than the other part I just mentioned. And then it hit me. It doesn't have to fucking matter. It doesn't have to be for a reason other than it's a nice thing to do. Someone said to me the other day, if you do enough nice things for a long enough time and act like a decent person for a long enough time, it won't make you a decent person. But the people around you might start to think you are. And if you do it long enough, you might start to think so too. Someone said that to me the other day, and it had just hit me in the stomach so hard. I was like, all of a sudden, it puts so many things in perspective. It's like, you're not ruled by the things you do and the concept of good or bad that you have of yourself, that thing you carry around with you. You have no control over how you're going to feel about yourself that day. You can try to feel good, but you might not. And if you feel like you should feel shitty for doing something bad, but you feel good, you're not going to be able to stop that either. What you can control is your behavior. You can control your behavior because there are just things that are innately positive to do. When I volunteered last Thanksgiving and Christmas for the first times, and I was going to, this like essentially shelter living, where giving away food and toys, it was something I'd never done before. And I thought a lot about, should I post this on Instagram? Should I post a picture? Because that's like essentially asking for praise, right? That's why. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't post about it. Maybe it makes more sense in the interest of not asking for acknowledgement. But then it's like, it's okay. It's okay to do something decent. And for those people who were there that I helped to feel like the guy helping them was decent. And it's okay for the people who follow me and so on social media to see it and also think I'm decent. I don't have to feel bad about that. I don't have to feel like it's for any other reason than I would post what I was doing that day, probably on social media. I do most days. Why wouldn't I post that one? I don't have to worry about getting a gift card for the girl that works at the coffee shop because it doesn't have to have a purpose other than it's a decent thing to do. It is being of service to another human who is in some way in need. And I guarantee it made her day better. Because I thought about, in a similar situation, if somebody who was essentially a stranger to me that I saw several times a week in some passing did something really nice for me, completely out of the blue that I didn't expect, it would probably fucking tear me up. You know what I mean? I'd probably get emotional, just like the decency in the world of that. And anyway, it's in theme with a lot of what we talk about on this show, but it was an experience that I had this week that I wanted to bring up with you guys. So thanks for listening. That is the soapbox portion of today's show. At the end of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the content ideas that I have for this and the direction that I want to take this channel. So I think let's get into our main topic here. And also stay tuned for some updates about the tour and also these shows in December that I talked about last on Sunday on the Action Guys. Let's get into this main topic. Taylor Swift versus Adele. All right? Taylor Swift versus Adele. It's in the thumbnail for a reason, right? It's not really necessarily about who is the better artist in your mind, because some of you might be a fan of one, some might be a fan of both, some might be a fan of neither. I think there are a lot of people that are a fan of neither, and that's okay too. I, in the end, have become a fan of both. Like a pretty serious fan of both. I'm going to take this jacket off. I've become a pretty serious fan of both. And I didn't used to like either one. I think in the beginning with Adele, I liked her. I didn't think, I wasn't blown away in the very beginning when I heard that first song. What is it? Chasing Pavements? Is that what it is? I think that's the one from the first album. It's a good song. I heard it on the radio and I didn't pay any attention. By the way, just a big shout out to the folks in the chat here. We got Ed here, people that have jumped in since I did the initial shout outs. It's really nice to see you, Danny. It's really nice to see you, Lego, who says, I had someone call me the wrong name for months, but every time he used a different wrong name. So odd, but names are hard. It's just good to have you all in here. I'm really, really happy about it. And I really hope that this show, we had a good thing going. I started to go downhill a little, I think, because I was in so much pain and I was self-medicating in a way that was prescribed, but I still was self-medicating with a lot of prescription meds. And it's hard to have a clear head and a positive outlook when you've got that many opiates in your body. I had them for a few months there, and I'm really happy that I do not have to take any more of these. It's been a week now since I've had a single one. And the first few days, there was definitely an adjustment. There was an irritable adjustment of kind of probably my body having some withdrawal to it. And I'm glad that very, very quickly that has passed. So thank you all. Jason Lasky in here. What's up, Jason? Big salute to you. So many folks that have supported both myself and Andrew and myself, which is I love this crew. So Adele, Chasing Pavements, I could tell it was an interesting voice. I knew that when that one came out, but it was the next album. It was the breakout album. It was 21. It's the one that we all heard. Roll in the Deep was a revelation of a pop rock song. That it's the kind of song that doesn't come along very often because it's not a big ballad and it's not a pop song. It's not intended to be a pop song, right? It's beautiful and it's powerful and it's got fucking edge and it was just amazing. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing song. So Roll in the Deep did it. My favorite Adele song is "Someone Like You." That song is. I used to just straight up tear up every single time I listened to that song. There was a period in my life where my eyes would just sort of tear up. It's such a sad, beautiful, haunting song, and she is amazing. I mean, I really loved those songs. Again though, I didn't buy the album, right? I don't know 21 inside and out, and even when 25 came out. I heard Hello. I heard when she got the Oscar for Skyfall. I was paying attention casually, like I think a lot of people did. And even what's it called? Even the one. What the hell was the song? When We Were Young. Is that what it's called? No. You know the one I'm talking about. Maybe it is called When We Were Young. That song is incredible. That was the one that I recently just started listening to because it came on the most played on Spotify right after her new song "Take It Easy on Me," which I was obsessed with and listened to for a week straight. So I really think her hits are amazing. When We Were Young, yeah, it is, and her hits are incredible. Her voice is obviously a revelation. She's having a moment where she's coming back with a new album right now. She's getting featured and talked about basically like she's Whitney Houston. I mean that's essentially like she's in that class of rock pop diva, whatever you want to call it. Her voice is amazing. The history of her career is amazing. So we all have to give her that credit. And I think she's in a class right now that you just don't reach. Like there's just not many musicians that reach that class. A great example is like Katy Perry has had hit after hit after hit. She's an amazing performer. She's got a very, very, very good voice. Dare I say it great? I would say very, very, very good. But she does the songs that are written for her by other writers really well, and she's great at what she does. But again, I don't think of Katy Perry as like a genius musician. I think of her as a phenomenal, phenomenal pop singer. Gaga's like closer to what we're talking about here, but Adele is really. I mean, Gaga is in the same class. It's just that Adele, because she didn't do anything for so many years. She took all these years off. She didn't do other things. She wasn't acting. She does her music and then she disappears. That's why Adele is like the kind of musician that she is. Egglord Closer in the chat here, iconic. Totally agree. Now on the other end of things, you've got Taylor Swift. I didn't really like Taylor Swift when she first started making music. If you in here in the chat loved Taylor Swift when she first started, that's awesome. A lot of people did. She really started out as a very young songwriter in the country world who started to cross over to pop. Her original songs like Romeo and Juliet and Teardrops on My Guitar and all those songs. Those were getting people's attention. But it was when she came out with the album. I think it's called Speak Now, and Speak Now had Mine, that's one of my favorite T Swift songs. And then Red, of course, is the breakthrough. I think it won. I'm pretty sure Red won album of the year it came out. But even Red, the thing about Red is she had started to cross into the pop world, but the hits from that album, like We Are Never Getting Back Together, and like the hell's the other one from that album? We Are Never Getting Back Together, and like Trouble, I think, is from that album, and there's maybe one other. But she was great at the time, but even then when that was happening, I didn't care. Like, We Are Never Getting Back Together didn't get my attention. It was like, oh, this is just still pop. This is just pure pop music that's kind of silly and has... 22, that's the other one. All those songs, very young pop, right? Very, very good. It's 1989 for me that's the moment. And it is for most people, too. I think it's considered by most people to be her best album. 1989, Blank Space, Wildest Dreams, Style... Out of the Woods, Shake It Off, Bad Blood. Like, I don't like every one of those songs, but I mean, the number of hits on that album, it's remarkable. And I believe that Blank Space is probably her greatest song, or I think so, probably close to it anyway. She's got a few, but Blank Space is the one that stands out for me. I think that was, I didn't really care in 2014 when it came out, but within a couple of years of that, I think I started to realize how much I had heard those songs and how much I liked those songs. And how, like, even though I was trying to avoid Taylor Swift's music, because at the time I hadn't accepted that I was like becoming a Swiftie, they were still getting in. So I think at this point, you know, the next two albums, like, I can't remember what they're called, Reputation. I think there was one other one. They're not as good as 89. They're trying to find their footing, but it was Folklore and Evermore, the stuff from last year that was the stuff that then, or 2020, I think it was actually. Those are the albums that like just completely crushed for people. And yeah, I mean, like, she won Album of the Year again, but she was working with Aaron Dessner from The National and all these amazing musicians. And she started to really, I think, represent a kind of musician that is how she is now totally perceived. And I think it was happening anyway. I think it was already happening. But now, Allison says, now it's all about the 10-minute version of All Too Well. So that's where this conversation started. And I'll just say for a second, before I get into the conversation of the two of them and who I think is the greater of the two, or the more iconic. And I actually want to know in the chat what you guys think as well. But sorry, one second. Oh, wow. Last night, I was listening to the 10-minute version of All Too Well. I didn't know that song. I had heard the original version of All Too Well. I'd heard it back when it first came out. Or maybe at some point over the years I listened to it. I'm not totally sure. But I definitely listened to it. And yeah, you know, it's good. It like, I always thought it had like a good vibe to it, but it was this time through listening to the lyrics. And honestly, not even the 10-minute version, though I do think the 10-minute version is really, really interesting. I think that the original version of All Too Well is just phenomenal songwriting. She was a young writer, and it's like, it's just a very good ballad. It's powerful. And I listened to the 10-minute version last night. I actually watched her do it on SNL, and it just, I don't know, it just really stuck with me. And I was like, man, like there's like a weight to the song and the story that she's telling here. I was like, this makes me want to write a song, but I'm not really allowed to fuck with my guitar yet. Not enough to sit there and leaned over with it in my lap and do that for a long period of time. I'm going to stand up again here. So I just took out my journal and I just started writing, you know, I just started writing lyrics to a song, and I got pretty far. I wrote, I think, most of a song, pretty good one actually, and I'm pretty proud of what I wrote. And so that's gonna be something I probably work on the first chance I get. I sent the lyrics over to Rich. He was like, "This is awesome. You should definitely work on this." And the only problem is that when I sing it, it literally just sounds like I'm singing it to All Too Well in terms of the progression and the rhythm, because that was in my head while I was writing it. But I can change that. I mean, I can figure out something else to play it with. But it's really an amazing song, and it put in perspective for me how Taylor Swift and the thing, what's up, Chris? C-Dub! Really put in perspective for me the fact that Taylor Swift, and the thing that makes Taylor Swift so incredible and so iconic, is that she's had such a long career already as a pop musician, and it's reinvented itself a few times, but she writes her own music. And she has written her own music for a long time. And so, and she writes music that like is emotionally inspiring and affecting in exactly the same way that Adele is emotionally inspiring and affecting. But Taylor is someone who wears her heart on her sleeve and always has, and she continues to do it, and she doesn't take 5 years off. She put out fucking Folklore and then Evermore like 6 months later or something, or not even. And they're both great. I think that combined they would have been one better album, but even so, there's a lot of great material on both those records. So in the end, when I think about the value, and I love it, if anybody here is watching for the first time, we don't normally talk about Adele versus Taylor Swift for 15, 20 minutes. But it was something I was thinking a lot about today, because of the fact that, like, I do think that they're two of the most iconic from this era. I think, you know, I saw Taylor Robinson comment on my Twitter poll that Beyonce is the third she threw in there. And I think there's other names of artists from the last decade that are going to have a major impact and that we'll all remember. But I just think that Taylor Swift, in the end, in 25 years, when we look back, is going to outlast all of the ones we just mentioned. I think in the end, it will be Taylor Swift's music that leaves the lasting impression, more so than Adele, more so than Beyonce, than Katy Perry, than Rihanna. Lady Gaga would probably be the one I would think that would maybe have, she's like the closest who I think, given what she's involved in, the fact that she's in movies and she just keeps writing music and she seems to keep evolving in a really interesting and natural way. To me, it feels like she could have another level. Like she could go to another level. She could have another one or two crazy albums where she writes the music and maybe, And I mean, if Adele has like three more albums like this, but I mean, I don't even know if Adele, I don't think she primarily writes all of her music. I think she is a co-writer on a lot of her stuff. But, if we just Google, does Adele write her own songs? For some reason, I always got the impression that she doesn't entirely write them all. Does Adele, look at the Google suggestions, have kids, have siblings, drink, tour, have tattoos, have a son, have a new boyfriend, have a new album, do concerts. Nope, we want to have, does Adele write all of her songs? Most of the songs were written solely by Adele, including Best for Last, Crazy for You, First Love, and My Same, as well as her debut single, Hometown Glory. Interesting. Who writes most of Adele's songs? Got it. Yeah. So she has a bunch of songwriters who work with her. That's always the sense I got. Now I know that Taylor does too. I know that Taylor Swift works with other people. It's not like she but all I'm trying to say is I think that if Taylor Swift continues to write albums like this, where there are so many songs on these albums that affect people in this way and have such an emotional connection with people, and that emotional connection is directly connected to her because they know that she wrote them about her experiences, that's where I think we're going to look back at the end of all this, and Taylor Swift's going to be 55 and she's going to be touring, and there's going to be people that were just like, I have followed your life through your music, and I feel like I've known you your whole life for that reason, and I'm a lifelong fan. And I think that that's going to be where that she stands out. Her voice is nothing compared to Adele's. Most voices are nothing compared to Adele's. But seeing the way that people react to Taylor Swift, like when, Red and the 10-minute version of All Too Well and all this stuff, it's also like she seems to have a real sense of performance and embracing the iconography of her career in an authentic way, but also in like a winking at the camera, I'm like a diva super celebrity way. Like she takes herself seriously enough, but almost like not too seriously. Like she's willing to do that. Whereas like I feel like Adele is just like this English, like I'm an artist and like it's so crazy that people like my music so much. She's much more humble and classic. There's a little bit less of a unique approach to fame and stardom that we see from her. Whereas I think Taylor Swift gets that, and so. That's my rant on Taylor Swift and Adele. Let me know in the chat here who you think, who you think is the one, if one of them stands out for you more than the other. Let's see here. I got to send this text. My buddy's going to meet me to go see King Richard. Hope I make it through, guys. My back is feeling tired. But I'm going to see if I can take a quick rest after the stream before I head over there. AMC... So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on Taylor Swift and Adele. I've always thought about doing a cover of one of their songs. Wildest Dreams is probably the cover from Taylor Swift that I've thought about doing the most. It's my favorite T Swift song. Blank Space I have covered before. Never performed it live before, but I've definitely learned it and covered it. Last Great American Dynasty from Folklore I learned and did a little TikTok version at one point. So, she's definitely a songwriter that I think her songs are a lot of fun, but they don't work as well to perform as somebody in my position because they don't have powerful vocals for me to do. And in general, they're just kind of strummy. They work really well for her as the songwriter, but unless I was going to completely reimagine one, I think it's a little harder to do justice to a Taylor Swift song. Whereas with Adele, she does have a powerful voice. And if I was to, key them down and transpose them to a key that I could do, probably like a cover of Rolling in the Deep would be super badass. I could realistically do covers of a lot of her songs probably and have a great time. So that is definitely something that I would consider doing. So, all right, guys, last couple things for us to talk about here. I want to jump back over, make sure I didn't miss any donations. Thank you all so much for everything you do, for all of the patrons that have been donating and keeping us rolling, and for all the donations, always over Streamlabs and over Super Chat, and for every one of you that donated to my GoFundMe while I was out. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate that. So, this is a small stream, so I'll be announcing this elsewhere as well. But on Sunday, I did announce that the Thursday, December 2nd show, the one here in LA that I was going to be performing, I have to cancel the show, unfortunately. I was hoping I was going to be healed up enough, and the surgeon was pretty clear with me. He didn't want me doing either of the shows that I had scheduled. Now, he didn't say them there's a 0% chance you can. He highly advised against it. That show was going to be 9-10 songs. It was going to be a full performance. That one I've got to cancel. It's a lot more on me to arrange it, and it's only me. So if I don't do a great job, it's just, the whole thing rests on that, unfortunately, and I have to be realistic with myself and honest with myself about that show. I will still be playing the Sunday the 5th show at the Mint with Chris Clark and with, David B. and with Alex Marzonia, with this whole crew of folks. It's going to be a really fun show. I'm probably going to play a slightly shorter set, so maybe instead of 9 or 10 songs, a few less. But I will be playing all of the things that you guys have heard, some new stuff, a cover. There's some pretty special stuff that I think we've worked out for that show, and I'm really looking forward to that show. So if you're going to be here in LA and you had bought a ticket for my show on Thursday, the 2nd of December, there are two options. I'm going to send a message to all of you to remind you of this, but the two options are thus. If you can't make the show on Sunday, or you just don't want to make the show on Sunday, I totally get it. I'll be refunding the tickets. $30 a ticket, I'll refund every person who bought one, and you guys were so supportive of me in a time of need that this is exactly why it's my ability to do stuff like this. However, if you want to see me perform, I will be playing, albeit a slightly shorter set, still a set on Sunday. And those tickets are $50 a ticket. My tickets for the show on Thursday were $30. I've worked it out with Chris. If you want to come see the show on Sunday, you just come. You give me your name. You send me your name. I put it on the guest list. Your $30 ticket for my show gets you the Sunday show. It's part of the deal. We worked it out together. I really want you guys to be able to come see me perform live, and this is the best place to do it while you're in town if you guys are here on that Sunday. So if anybody is able to do it and they want to come to that show, if they haven't already bought a ticket, send me a message. Let me know. I'll put your name on the guest list, and you'll get a discount on that ticket, and I'll just be excited to see you. Now, in the case that you've bought a ticket for both, obviously, happy to refund the money. More than happy to refund the money. I completely understand it, and I don't want to put you guys in an undue position. And for anybody that doesn't contact me, I'll just be refunding the $30. If for whatever reason you can't make it to either show and you want to not be refunded in support, that's also fine. Send me a message. Let me know. However you want to do it is fine with me. But I'm going to be sending out a message to all of you about the refund, and I'm looking forward to seeing those of you that I can see on Sunday. And I'm glad I'm able to offer you this consolation to come still see me play and hear the songs. And yeah, it was a great workaround for us to figure out, because the Mint is an amazing venue, and it's going to be a great show, and I think you guys will have a great time if you're there. So that's the big announcement. I'll be putting this up on Twitter and all the various places to get shared around. But as far as other updates for you guys go, the last thing I wanted to talk to y'all about was this channel. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this channel, and I'm going to do the crane shot one more time. All right, catch up here. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is, as I'm getting my strength and my energy back, there was stuff that I had talked about doing on this channel before my health got so bad. And one of the main things I had talked about doing on here was I was going to start doing more covers, and I was going to start making this channel more of a feature, more of a feature, and actually, being able to do that on this channel, because that's what this channel has become. And I'm really excited to say I've got now a group of people in LA that want to work on music with me. I think, and just an excellent way to continue to promote and get out there. And I think, what Rich said did put in perspective for me something which I have to be really grateful for, which is that if I have two songs, one with, close to 20,000 streams now, and the other one with 10 plus, the music thing's working, right? It's not working enough to make me rich or pay my bills yet, but it's working enough to sustain itself. It's working enough that there's an audience of people who are excited about this music and are supporting it and seem to genuinely like what I'm putting out there, which means I'm going to be able to keep doing this. And there's a really exciting path to do it. And there's a ton of different places I can do it, tons. There's all sorts of different places to go do it. There's going to be YouTube covers here. There's going to be reviews of music here on this channel that I can do. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram Reels. There's so many different places that I can be working on both engaging in music, but then also critiquing music, just like I do with movies. And I think that it's something I'm thinking about and talking about more and more. And I think it's going to be an organic transition that you guys are going to see more and more on this channel. And I would love for you to be here with me. What I was talking about earlier, as far as living your life with a positive energy and putting that positive energy out there in the world, I think it's super important to do. And I'm going to continue doing it on this channel. It means the world to me to be able to, and I'm glad to have you guys here. I'm excited to be recovering, and as I recover, I'll be able to share more and more and more of that with you all. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at. You know, I think you're going to see more content on this channel, more interesting content, trying different things out. If you're not already following me on the other places, if you're not already following me on TikTok, it's the same, Ben Bateman Media, Instagram. Follow me those places, because you guys are going to start to see a little bit more of a variety of content from those various places. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. I think the last thing to do before we get out of here, haven't done it yet tonight. I think I'm going to play one thing. My voice is probably a little tired, but I'm going to play one song. And yeah, I think I'll play one song. Seems like a good plan, something to do, be nice to do. So I'm going to give me a second, pick up the guitar, and let's do one song before we get out of here. Allison says "Still Be Mine." That song doesn't exist out in the world yet. It's not a song that the world gets to hear yet, but maybe. I also don't know if I can yet, because my voice is, a little shaky. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. All right, let's see. Can I do "Still Be Mine"? Fuck it. Let's put it out there for the world to hear. And I'll probably just unlist this last part of the video afterwards, so the song doesn't exist on the channel. So for anybody who wants to hear the song "Still Be Mine," it will be recorded. It will be out on the next thing, but it's not going to live here right now, because this is just for the live viewers. I'm going to unlist the last part of this video and trim it off. And last but not least, if you haven't heard it and you'd like to hear it, or you want to hear the process of writing songs like this one, because this one is just written and I'll probably forget some of the lyrics right now, become a patron, patreon.com/Ben Bateman. That $25 diamond tier gets you the once a month. You guys get to hear the songs as they're being written, which is where I first premiered this. This is why Allison knows what the song is because I played it there live, and it goes like this.